Good day, slingers. So, today we're going to do the final installment of our Zynvaded EVO by We Have Issues. Basically what we're going to do today is we're just going to clean up a few things and just make sure that everything that we have is ready for the tabletop, get ready to play. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to clean up around the bases, maybe do a few little details. But other than that, most of what we got all ready to play. So, grab your paints and brushes, join me, and let's sling some paint. Welcome back, my slingers. Okay, so again, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a little bit of tidy up, go over some stuff that we may have missed in our miniatures, and just make sure that they're all ready for the tabletop. Probably the best thing to do is, grab one miniature that you're not quite sure is fully finished. Say, for instance, for the fella right here. You can see that, it looks pretty good. Most of the stuff is finished. But what we have to do is pick out the details on the D20 or the D10. And you can see in here we have to tidy up the base because the base looks messy. So we'll try and do that today. This one here again, you can see got a whole bunch of different colors. But that's okay. Being sloppy is part of the fun. And then going back and tidying it up and making it look the best that you can. Or at least, passable for the tabletop. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some some Abaddon Black. Again, give your paints a shake. This is, for those of you who are British, this is Abaddon Black. And a lot of us here in North America call it Abaddon Black. We're going to take some of that, and if we want, we can move to a bit of a larger brush, medium base brush. Again, most of the paints that I'm using are all Citadel, the same with the brushes. So we'll just give it a quick wet down. Make sure it's not too wet. Grab some black, put it on your palette. And then you can see, big fella right here. It's still sitting on a white base. That's not going to look terribly good on your tabletop. What you can do is just, start giving it the paint around. Of course, you can do whatever you like with your bases. You can add details. You can, you can whatever you'd like. Really doesn't matter. You can keep them clear. You can paint them. A lot of people just paint them green. You can flock them. I'll go into what flocking and stuff like that is in a different episode. Well, for now, this is just tidying up what we got. Make it nice and quick and dirty, ready to go out and play. I mean, you don't even have to repaint your bases if you don't want to. And that's fine. But repainting the bases, at least the white ones, and tidying up paint that you've gotten all over the base will at least give your game a bit of coherency. All of your miniatures are on a black base. It just looks all nice and together. You can start to see that, it's not too bad. You'll probably have to come back and give it a second coat, make it all nice and even. All right. So while we're letting that dry, yeah, see on the edges there, it's a little lighter. So we'll just have to make sure we hit it again with a second layer. second layer of paint. And the great thing about miniature paints, they are acrylic, so they're water-based, they're water-soluble. But they also dry really, really fast. So if you have a miniature in a painting handle like I do, you can twist the base around and get all the nooks and crannies and all the top, all the spaces. You don't have to worry about paint scraping off or what have you, because it's already dry. It's good. Okay. That one looks better already. Give you a shot there. The edges are pretty much all done. So at this point in time, you can almost call the miniature done, but there's a few other things that you can do just to give it that little, just make it pop a little bit on the tabletop. If you take a look here, it looks like it's got a control surface. It looks like it's got a little screen, some buttons. So we can, if you want, you can actually go in, paint those if you like, or not. I mean, still, it's entirely up to you. The other big person, maybe you can see it a little bit better on the orange. There's the control surface there. This is also your chance to just go over everything, make sure it looks good, make sure that you haven't, especially on the white, that you haven't missed anything. And then you're pretty much ready to get on the tabletop and play. And this one here, it's since it's a black base, and I didn't mess it up too bad. It's not going to require a whole lot of cleanup on it. It's nice. But you can also give it that, you can still go over it with the black just to give it a little bit more. There, you can see I've tidied up the little bit of paint splatters that were around the feet. And this one, except for the face, we'll get to faces right away. Except for the face, these bigger ones are ready for the tabletop. They're ready to go. Oh man, that's okay. This one here, again, it's not too terrible bad. That will just require a little touch up. It's more the white ones that have really kind of had the splatter all over them. We'll pick that up later. And then this one here, he had a nice cool little coin on the base, so make that silver. He's also standing on a pop can or a pop bottle lid or beer lid or whatever you want it to be. And we haven't picked out those details yet, and that's the perfect opportunity for you to pick out those details. You can make it whatever you want. If you fancy yourself a bit of an artist, maybe you can try and recreate your favorite soda drink or your favorite beer or anything else that has a lid like that. But that's not what we're necessarily here about right today. If you notice, they don't have closed helmets. They got faces. So what we're going to do is we're going to do just a quick little thing here to show you how to get some good looking faces on these people. If I can find the right color again. My painting space sometimes is just horrible. So finding the right paint sometimes takes a little bit of time. But I found it. So what we're going to use is Cadian Flesh Tone. So we're going to give them kind of like a tone, kind of like what we have. You know, they're bugs. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to give them a KD. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to give them a human flesh tone. You can do whatever you want. You know, if you think the bugs will look pretty cool with a red tone, or with a, you know, take a look at bugs in nature. See what color they are. And just go from there. The technique that I'm going to show you here is pretty much the same no matter what color you use. So what you do is you take a little bit of the paint, of course, thin down a little bit. Like I said in the intro, this is going to be the last video on these guys. They've been quite a pleasure to paint. I've absolutely loved doing these guys. Actually, I kind of look forward to possibly ordering up a few other of their miniatures from this line and getting that on the tabletop, because they look like they will be fun. You know, again, if you get paint where it doesn't supposed to be, that's fine. Just go back to whatever color you painted over, and touch up. No big deal. There. Or you can try and be as neat as you can. Me, I like to try and be as neat as I can when I'm painting. So just because they are insectile-like, you know, they have the, you know, they have the extra arms and stuff like that. I've decided that I'm going to make them look a little bit more on the human side. All right, his helmet's closed, so we don't have to worry about him. His is open, and since they all are part of the same race, I'm just going to make them all the same color. Now again, just because I chose Katie a flesh tone, doesn't mean you have to. You know, if you want your bugs, if you want them to be actual insectiles, go ahead. Like I said, go ahead and you can just look at different bugs in nature, see what they look like. Go ahead and use that. Sky's the limit. Really, it's your imagination is the only thing that's holding you back. That and finding your brushes. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm switching to a small layer brush, again from Citadel. And it just helps me get, because it's a smaller area, it just helps me have a little bit more control. And where I place the paint. And it's because, you know, basically because I don't want to go back and touch up. But if I got it, I got it. It's no big deal. Excuse me one moment. Sorry about that. You can kind of see, it's kind of hard to tell. But there's his face. And then on all the other figures, all you do is just rinse and repeat. Paint all your figures the tone that you want, no matter what tone that be. you'll find that they actually start to take on they almost take on, they're almost ready to go just as is. But that's not why we're here. We're here to make them look good, make them look as good as we can. And if you find that your paint on the palette is drying up, grab more paint from your pot, put it back down on the palette, and keep going. Also, you'll find that you will find details that will start to come out that you may not have known were even there. And that's kind of cool too. Or details that you weren't able to really discern at the time. You're like, oh, there's something there, and it could be kind of cool. Once you put a little bit of paint on it, usually the details come snapping right out. And you're like, man, that was cool. Or, man, I didn't know that he had a scar. Or, you know, whatever. Okay, him we don't have to worry about. Him we're done. Her done. Two big guys have done. Now it's just the tricky one. And I say he's tricky because he's got the gun pretty much right in front of his face. Well, we're going to get in there and we're going to get it. Sometimes hair gets kind of, you know, everywhere. There we go. Getting in there. Getting the paint down. Making these guys look good. There we go. It's just not really focusing for us, but it likes to focus on me, so I'm going to hide. Yeah, still not focusing. That's okay. You get the general idea. So now we've got the flesh color down. And again, I'm just going to use... Actually, I'm going to use one of my smaller models. Use this one right here, because she's got the biggest and most open face. It's perfect for learning. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn. So now we're going to take a shade paint. It's kind of what I used earlier on some of the orange parts to really bring out that orange. But this one here is called Agrax Earthshade. That's kind of a earthy, muddy tone. Yep. I'm going to use this. And we're just going to give it a bit of a splash over the face. We don't want too much, but we want enough to sit in those recesses and really pick out those details. Okay, so then you just give the face an all over kind of wash. Of the earth tone. And again, I know it's going to be real hard to see for whatever reason. Doesn't want to focus. Maybe it's because it's bright outside. I don't know. But trust me when I say that it's settling into the recesses nicely. You work it kind of all over, and it also brings down your skin tone a little bit, so they don't look super bright, And it also helps you paint your eyes too, unless you're one of those insane people that I know who like to actually paint the eyeballs on. That's a person with a whole lot of patience, a whole lot of time that I don't necessarily have. I mean, if I'm going for a competition level miniature, I will definitely give the eyeballs a run over if I can. If not, I just kind of do the same thing. I cheat, and I hope that's, you know, I kind of hope that's okay, and I kind of hope I get away with it. But you want to make sure that you're working, you know, that you're working the shades to all the nooks and crannies, making sure that you get it everywhere you need it. And the faces will just start popping right out. You can also paint with the shade if you wanted to. I mean, it looks kind of neat. And that's maybe one of the effects that I'll give you a quick show on right here. There we go. So all the faces are now washed. We'll have to wait for we'll have to wait for the shades to dry. That'll take a little bit. So while I still have you, I'm going to do a quick little thing. I'm going to show you basically how to paint with the shade. So what we've done here is we've got this little guy, and he's painted up in white. And this is a really good thing because using the white, it'll actually paint with shade. So we're gonna start. Oh, I told you my workspace is a mess. Apparently I don't have it. That's okay. We'll make them a different color. Oh, here we go. So with this little fella, I think we're going to make him green. I don't know. It's kind of like a larva sort of thing. Maybe he's a support bug of some kind. There's a slightly bigger brush. I mean, you can use really any size brush that you want. You know what? Let's go even bigger. Citadel has a wonderful range of brushes, so I'm using medium. The camera is just not doing what I want it to do today. Well, that's okay. Bring it back here. Anyway, it says medium shade. So you get a bunch of the shade on your brush. Wipe off what you think you might not need. That's fine. So again, we have a white bug. And all you do, you literally just brush on the shade. And I mean, if you have some spaces that are a little bit tricky to get into, you might want to switch your shade brush for a smaller shade brush. You know, or we're going to go over top of it with regular paint for some detail. As you can kind of see, that's just shade, but boom, he's green. He's a green bug. And then we're going to go to a slightly smaller, more precise shade brush. The one that I was getting ready for before. Now this one isn't a Citadel. This one is a Noble brush, so it's a sable brush. Really good brush too. Now you don't have to wet your brushes down for the shades, because the shades are more like water anyway. They're highly pigmented, and what they do is they are designed to find the low spots of your miniature and just sit there. So they'll give you the tone over the white, without really compromising anything else. That also helps you just fill in any details that you may have missed. Being a little bit more precise about it. And again, boom. Green bug, done. Now this is something that I unconsciously do, I realize that, but I lick the tips, keeps the tips all nice and pointy. We're going to go back to, actually, let's use Reikland Flesh Shade. It's another color. You can also use this to do your flesh tones on your miniatures too. And it depends on what you're going for. You know, I thought the Argax would look better for insectile type bugs, so I went with a heavier, darker looking color. There you go. Now his tummy's all done. Boom. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now the last color we want to try and use is, we probably want to try and get the tongue on the miniature. Again, camera's having issues, so not sure if you can see it, but he's got his tongue sticking out. Tongues aren't white. Well, I guess they can be, if you want them to be. Nope, not there. That means it's in the wild, wild desk paint somewhere. There we go. Found it. I don't know how much I have left. Oh, I might just have enough. It's not going to take a lot. That's okay. But I'm using an older Citadel paint called Carenberg Crimson. Again, we take the slightly better, more pointed brush. Gives you a little bit more control. And all you do is just add the color over top. On the sides. Color will stick in the middle. Now you can kind of see, boom, tongue is pink, and the middle is a deeper red. And that's painting with shades. And that's it for me today, fellow slingers. So I am your host, James. I am the Paint Slinger. And next time, we're going to look at a wonderful game from IDW. Let's see if we can bring it in here. Well, and we'll see what miniatures are inside that one. Okay? Until next time, paint safe. And don't worry about your color choices. What you choose is right for you.